Hey everybody, it's Mark, Dr. Deadwax, and it's time for day 2 of the Inbox Challenge. And today it's brought to you by DoctorStrangelyStrange, Kevin. So these are the things that were pulled based on his numbers. I got 5 numbers from him, and I am going to do all 5. So like I said, some days I'll only do 3 of the 5, but today I have the time and stuff to do all 5. So it's kind of a weird crate. It contained a chunk of the stuff, almost half of the bin was stuff I got for free. Got a huge box of records once for free, and I pulled about 25, 30 of them out, maybe 35, 40 of them out that were kind of interesting, and they weren't necessarily things that I would have bought or would have been actively seeking out. So, but anyway, first one here is Best of Bee Gees. This is on Atco Yellow Label. This is a Canadian pressing, actually, and apparently this record has there's the front cover, there's the back. This record covers the period from like just Bee Gees first or something like that up to Odessa, after which Robin had left the band, and this was released before Cucumber Castle came out, which was the record the 2 remaining brothers put out. So this contains stuff from that period. It includes some stuff like I Started a Joke and I've Got to Get a Message to You and Massachusetts and New York Mining Disaster, which would be pretty well known by people who know the Bee Gees. My stepmonster, she liked the Bee Gees, but she liked the disco crappy kind of Bee Gees, and that's kind of what I grew up with the best album that she had being Main Course. But this early stuff is kind of, it's like pop in a way. It's pretty good music. I mean, I've wanted to delve into it a bit more, which is why I kept this out of the box of stuff that I moved on to a charity shop. You know, this is a greatest hits record. This is like an early Canadian pressing. What's interesting is there is a song on here originally that had to be removed, and this one in its place has Kitty Can, which wasn't listed on Wikipedia. Not that that's the best resource, but that's the one most of us use. It wasn't listed as being on here, so I don't know if only the Canadian version had Kitty Can on it, or if all of them did. Some really good stuff on here, and some stuff that was just kind of average, but it was nice to listen to. Unfortunately, you know, this didn't get one of my inners because it's pretty scratched up and it's really crackly and noisy. It's got that it sounds really staticky, but it's got that kind of crackle that comes not from dirt and not from like it having a static charge, but actually comes from having like the tops of the grooves clipped by like a grinder cart over the years, like a BSR stacker or some sort of worn out sapphire. And that's why you got to take care of your needles, because they'll start clipping the peaks of the little ravines and indentations that are put into the wall that are picked up, and you'll just, you know, they'll clip those off and it won't pick up music, it'll pick up noise and garbage. So that one's going, and you know, like I said, Kevin's welcome to the things I don't want today, but honestly, Kevin, that ain't worth mailing. That's just either going to go in the garbage or to a charity shop. Again, another one that isn't going to stay is Shirley Bassey with Nelson Riddle and his orchestra. This is a UK pressing on an interesting black Columbia with a kind of almost electric or teal, no, like a bright blue Columbia logo. No, I never would have bought this, but Shirley Bassey or Bassey has an amazing voice, and Nelson Riddle, you know, he's a good arranger and conductor, and you know, this is the kind of thing I like to check out, I like to listen to, Unfortunately, this record's got scratches that jump and skips, so this one's on its way out too. I wouldn't have bought this, and you know, I wouldn't buy this even if I could find a perfect copy. But it was fun to listen to, and that's part of the reason why I pick up a lot of stuff that I just kind of want to listen to. It kind of interests me that isn't stuff that'll necessarily go on a regular rotation. And when I'm kind of leafing through the bins to find stuff to clean, this is kind of stuff that constantly gets looked over. Those two things have been in there for 2 years. So this kind of number system is kind of working out well for me because I'm getting some stuff out. And another one that's, you know, is on its way out is My Way, Frank Sinatra. This is from his Reprise period. And this is on the tricolored Reprise stereo label. Unfortunately, this tube is scratched and it has some jumps, and it's not in good enough condition to keep. I would keep this record if it was in better condition, but it's not. But this is an early pressing. It's a U.S. No, it's Canadian pressing, but it was made with U.S. plates, so that's why I thought it was U.S. My Way. This is where what later became his, in the later part of his career, became his theme song. This is the record that it first appeared on. It has some good moments. Didn't We is kind of interesting. Hallelujah, I Love Her So. The Ray Charles tune is kind of interesting. The Beatles Yesterday is really bad. My Way, I'm just overdone with that. Mrs. Robinson's kind of peculiar. You know, it's just a Sinatra record. I would keep it if it was clean because it's fun, but it's not. So again, that's another one that's on its way to a charity shop. Next is Songs of Leonard Cohen. This is an early one. It's playable in mono equipment. Use stereo. Neil. This is a Canadian pressing. Originally it was available in mono or stereo, so this is an early Canadian pressing. It's a Canadian plate, not US plates. You can tell that the plate was made in Canada, but it is early. It's 2i Columbia. Record's in pretty damn good condition. It's got a couple scratches on it, and it's a little crackly at times, but I mean, wow, this is a fantastic record. I've heard a lot of Leonard Cohen over the years, but I've never actually owned any Cohen on vinyl, so to kind of play this and listen to it through was great. And this has Suzanne on it, and it has Sisters of Mercy on it, and it has So Long Marianne. I mean, classic album from Leonard Cohen, his first record, and just, you know, really strong right out of the box. Interesting, you know, I love the stuff that you find in records. This had, I think, must have been an original lyric sheet, and it's got this flap on it. It's here, it's a little damaged, but it's got this flap on it that says complete lyrics enclosed, and I wonder if like that was around the outside somehow, or maybe stuck out of the record and was around the front like that. I don't know, like maybe that's how it was marketed so that people could see that the complete lyrics were enclosed, but it's got all the lyrics to all the songs so everybody can sing along. And because the stuff that's in records is so fun sometimes when you find people's personal stuff, somebody else has written out the entire, and I don't know, I don't want to be sexist or anything, but I would say that that is definitely most likely from a woman's hand. Because I know my writing sure as hell doesn't look like that. My writing's, I could be a doctor, it's so legible. But this person has written out the entire album again. And I don't know, I think that's kind of cool, kind of fun to find in there. Somebody really loved this album way back when and took the time to transcribe or copy out all of the lyrics. So great album, great addition to the collection. I will be looking for a better pressing, so I'll have my eye out for that. But put that away there. All in all, great record. Can't complain. And the last record, which is a huge shocker to me, is John Martyn, One World. Now this is, I had a stack of records out in the garage that I'd gotten about a collection, or was given a couple hundred records, and I'd gone through it and I pulled what I was interested in and wanted out of it. And like a year ago, when I first started watching videos, before I started making videos, I saw somebody show this record, and I remember going out to the garage to dig it up and pull it out to bring it in, to put it into the inbox. And I don't remember who it was, but they talked about it and they said it was pretty good. And this did not catch my eye, and I have looked over it 100 times since then when I've been picking things to clean and listen to, and I'm really great because the system is working out well, because this is a brilliant record. John Martyn, also playing on this is Steve Winwood, for example. He plays bass and piano and keyboards, Moogs, synthesizers. Dave Pegg, the bassist from Just for Tell and Fairport Convention, is on here. And just tons of other people. A guy who played like for a little while with Sabbath, and Michael Schenker, and different bands like that, the Peter Green stuff. This is a Canadian pressing on Black Label Island. It's in really good condition, not great. It's a little crackly. I'll be looking for a cleaner pressing, and I will be looking for a UK pressing as well, because John Martyn spent some time, I think, in Jamaica, and he spent some time hanging out with a famous producer. And I just totally blanked on the guy's name. And this record was recorded outside, parts of it. So it has this kind of, it's known for this kind of organic, ambient feel to it. And it has times you can hear like water or the wind or stuff like that. And it's from 1977, and it has a bit of that 70s, late 70s feel to it. It also has like it almost predates certain kinds of music, a little bit of that production value of the 80s, but it doesn't have any of the cheesiness of that production, that highly produced sound of the 80s. So it's got this, it just presents this wonderful soundscape and these wonderful textures. The music's really good. The songwriting's really strong. The lyrics are good. The vocal presentation is kind of this folk slurred vocal technique that's really interesting. Some people have like said it's like the first trip hop album. I mean, it doesn't sound like trip hop at all, but it does have a little bit of these kind of weird electronic sounds mixed into this organic folk, softer rock kind of sounds. It has this huge production value. Like, I can't wait to hear it on a friend of mine's system. This is definitely something I'm going to take to like a $200,000 system and listen to. This record sounds fantastic. I will be playing this record many, many times, learning about it and discovering more. It also has this awesome like lyric sheet with the, you know, the thick cardboard inner sleeve that's almost like an outer sleeve, which is, you know, I loved when records used to do that. And another really interesting thing about the record is there are two completely different mixes of this record. There was a UK European mix of this record, and there was a US Canadian mix of this record. They're different. Every song is mixed differently. It's not always completely obvious from what I read, but there are differences in everything. So I'm going to be looking for a nice pristine North American pressing of it, and I'm going to be looking for a nice UK pressing of it just to see and hear the differences. But and the title art was done, or the cover art, which didn't really grab me, but it looked kind of cheap, like kind of, I don't know, it just had this kind of look to it that didn't really work for me. But it was done by Tony Wright, who was the guy who did Traffic's The Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys. You know that blue cover with the checkerboard floor, and it had the cut corners, like a die-cut album cover. So, and you can kind of see that he was the one that did that. You can see a bit of that. It speaks a little of him, the artwork. So this is just, I can't recommend this enough. I don't know who it was that pointed it out in a video that made me go out to the garage and pull it out of a box that I was actually going to get rid of. But and thank you, Kevin, for picking the magic number that got this. So that's day 2 of the inbox challenge. Thanks again, Kevin. Thanks everybody for watching and commenting. And have a great day, and keep the record spinning.